Good evening. My name is Alan, and this evening I am facilitating the fourth of 5 sessions of Eotenweard, my PBTA game of Dark Age monster hunting. This game is organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG community's monthly calendar. And if you don't know about the Gauntlet, you should just type Gauntlet RPG into your any search engine, and you will find us. A community of people playing mostly story games, indie games, narrative games, though not entirely. It's a broad church that we try to support. We have Patreon, which supports podcasts, Plus One Forward, the Gauntlet podcast, Fear of Black Dragon, as well as a monthly zine, depending on what you enter the Patreon. But if you're watching this, probably the biggest selling point for Patreon is that if you do subscribe to us at a certain level, then you gain priority access to play games with us. Now, that's not to say that you can't play with us in other ways. There is the Gauntlet forums, which are kind of public facing and where all games are advertised, and you can join those just as any member of the public. You just won't get the priority access. So with the best will in the world, the Gauntlet is quite difficult to get into games with sometimes because demand is high from people who are Patreon members. What else do I need to tell you about the Patreon? If you'd like to try playing with us, then he said, checking his calendar, the weekend of the 16th.
Yes, 16th, I think.
Thank you. 16th to 19th of July, the Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend, the second of its name, will be running. This is just a chance for people to come and play with us, really, to encourage people to move their gaming online under these difficult circumstances, and to try out the Gauntlet and see if it's the kind of place you want to come and play. So I will try to remember to put a link in the blurb beneath this that will take you to Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend. What else? I think that's all I have to say at this point. I'll come back to safety tools once people have introduced themselves. And can I do this in reverse character keeper order, please? No, I tell you what, this runs Sabine, Eamon, and then Robbie, Tuca, and then everything else after that, for reasons that will become apparent. So Sabine, say hello and tell us something about Eamon.
Hello, my name's Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm going to play Iamon the Monster Hunter, who, is on a mission right now to appease the Mountain Queen, who is a troll, and he and his newly acquired family, he married a princess, and now a princess in exile, of course, because that's just the way life is, right? You might find a princess, she likes you, you marry her, and then she's in exile. Great. So yeah, anyways, we lived on the Mountain Queen's land, and she was not that impressed with us, and she said, hey, if you want to live on my land, go and bring me back my necklace or something else. I forget, some jewelry, but I'm pretty sure someone will remember. And and we are trying to do that, which is more complicated than we thought. But what's also complicated is Tuca, because we had Tuca was I'll let Robbie tell that, but Iamon and Tuca have a relationship from early youth, and then there was some tension, and then she went home, and he thought she had married, and then he looked elsewhere for love and found it, but the tension's still there.
I think that sums it up quite nicely. Robbie, say hello and tell us something about Tuca.
So Tuca is, my name's Robbie. I use he, him pronouns. Tuca uses she, her pronouns. Tuca is from the Commoner playbook. She is a childhood friend and acquaintance of Iamon, but perhaps the two of them are going to be more than friends. That will remain to be seen. Yeah, that there was an absence. Tuca had to kind of leave Iamon at one point to help a woman who had raised her, and when Tuca came back, she was surprised to find out that Iamon had married this princess in exile. I guess one thing to just bring us up to date is that we are in Danum, and Tuca has something of a relationship with some of the women of Danum, because in an earlier escapade, she had helped Danum with some of the women to defend itself from an incursion. And so I think at the end of our last session, one of the things that Tuca was doing was getting kind of caught up with kind of re-sparking some of the acquaintances that she had with the woman of Danum, who still remembered her for her role in helping to defend the wall.
That's great. Thank you very much. And then moving along, Will, say hello and tell us something about Blacwyn.
Hi. Well, Blacwyn's pronouns are the same as mine. They are he, him. And Blacwyn is a recurring character, much the same as Iamon, and is the Hammer of the Gods, a gruff warrior type who is out for what was at first revenge and is now searching for the daughter that he thought had been taken from him. And Iamon is a comrade who revealed his daughter's survival to him, and so Blacwyn is here to help Iamon, and perhaps to ask for his help in tracking down his daughter later on.
Because nothing in this game, you don't get anything for nothing. And finally, Lara, say hello and introduce us to Modthryth.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura, she, her pronouns. Also, and I'm playing Modthryth, who is also she, her pronouns. Modthryth is using the Loon playbook. So Modthryth went through some pretty traumatic experiences early in life. Monster raids, the killing of her family, the usual. And so after that time, she went a little crazy, but she doesn't think she did. She just thinks that she's chosen, and the voices in her head tell her that she has to protect those that cannot protect themselves. So yeah, Modthryth has slowly been going, at least in my opinion, a little bit more insane as this story has gone on. She's become more and more violent. So this should be.
And I think it's fair to say, yes, that Lara is playing Modthryth at the more extreme end of the Loon spectrum. Slight yes. So it's been very interesting seeing that development. And I should have said my pronouns are he, him. The other thing to say is that we are playing with safety tools. The Gauntlet has a very clear policy on safety tools, and indeed on how people play together. One of the great things about the Gauntlet is its play culture. And so we're playing within the Gauntlet Code of Conduct, and we're also playing with the X card. So if there is something that comes up in play that any player or I am uncomfortable with, then we can play the X card. I, as the GM, will not ask anybody why they've played it. Simply that they have played it is enough. I may ask them how far back in the fiction they'd like me to rewind, so I can go around the bit of the fiction that they have found uncomfortable or just don't want to engage with. In an effort to reduce the chance of us bumping into that kind of territory, we are playing with lines and veils, and the lines we're playing with currently are sexual assault and violence, cannibalism as a positive, torture by the PCs, death or endangerment of children, and animal abuse. Those are things that won't come up in the fiction. They're lines that we won't cross. If anybody sees us or feels we're getting too close to that, then they play the X card just to kind of draw our attention to that. Would be really helpful. We're also playing with some veils. Veils are for material which we're comfortable having in the fiction, but we prefer not to have front and center on screen. So currently we are playing with any other kind of torture as a veil. and consensual sex. And if those come up, we'll just draw a discrete veil across and cut to after the events. And the players, I've played with all of these players before, they know that if there is anything that they want to add during play, to just go and add it. And equally, if there was something that came up in previous sessions, which at the time they thought they were okay with, but with hindsight they're nervous about, then they can play the X card now, not a problem. They can add a line or a veil. We'll check in at intervals just to make sure, or I'll check in at intervals just to make sure that list remains in place. But no one will take any away. Those are the ones we will play with. Okay, so with all that in mind, yes, we ended last time at Danum, where our monster hunters have gone to gain the aid of the prefect, because in last time's session, they discovered that the rumors about true Fae being invulnerable to normal weapons appears to be true. Certainly when they confronted a couple of Fae, their weapons had no effect at all, and they beat a discreet retreat. But the rumors, the myths, the legends say that Fae are hurt by bronze. And again, that ties into an earlier session where an old Fae friend of Tuca's appeared, having been wounded by a bronze arrow. But all they have is the one bronze arrow. But Modthryth, putting two and two together, saw the fact that they had encountered a messenger from Danum, not traveling to them, traveling to a settlement nearby, seeking support. And then the need to find these weapons to attack the Fae. Danum is well known to have been one of the significant local bases for a legion. And it's, again, legend says that the Romans, before they left Britain, because we are playing about 200 years after the legions were withdrawn, that the Romans had tools with which to defeat the Fae, and that is why the Fae were kept in their place during the reign of Rome. Now they're getting uppity. And so our band of comrades have gone to Danum, seeking the help of Danum, hopefully to determine if they can provide either the skills to make bronze weapons, or perhaps they have a store of bronze weapons that are hangover from the Roman occupation. So that's where we left off. And I think specifically there were two things, I think, in that last scene. One was that the prefect's advisor, Morwenna, a middle-aged Celtic woman, red hair going white, found out that she was part of a group who went into the same forest that the characters have gone into, ostensibly for the same intention, to defeat the Fae and protect the locals of a village called Riponum. Morwenna thought that they had dispatched the Fae, or what she called the Witch of the Woods. And it turns out they killed somebody else. So Morwenna, we left in a state of shock. But we also left with the prefect agreeing to help the characters. So I think that's where we'll pick up. In the prefect of Danum's great hall, this great barn-like structure in the middle of the settlement, with that having just played out. Tuca, let me ask, what is your reaction when you see the look on Morwenna's face?
I think on the exterior, she keeps herself composed. I mean, I think in Tuca's head, of course, there's some concern on two fronts now. I mean, both on the front of okay, so the Fae are still there, But then there's this added mystery of perhaps somebody, who knows what that other person was, right? Who that was.
Thank you. Modthryth, what's going through your mind at this point?
I think that, Modthryth is just trying to, I think Modthryth is wondering who it was that they thought that they killed. I think that she's trying to connect all of these dots that are just kind of spinning around in circles in her head. Like, I think that she has like Danum, Fae, and all of these like words echoing in her head in different voices. And so she's just trying to unscrabble it all.
So just taking it all in at this point. Okay. Blacwyn, what about you at this point?
I had, I think Blacwyn is, he's just waiting to get back into those woods and deal with this thing. He is sharpening his axe and having a bath finally after weeks of travel. All that kind of, just getting back fighting shape.
Just another job. Iamon, what about you at this point?
Yeah, well, I've talked a lot. Like, I really would love the chance to have a beer with Blacwyn or Tuca or Modthryth. I don't care. But I have to be polite, of course. So I will, whatever I need to do here to keep those Danum people happy, the Mr. what was his name, Gaius Maximus Argentum or something like that. And yeah, like, okay, yes, I need that guy to help my wife and my brother-in-law regain their kingdom, basically, which was stolen by an intrigue of King Beda. And I will maybe mention that a few times, that I really don't like this King Beda, and try to find out what they think about him, if they probably don't like him because he was the one who attacked Danum when we were here.
Before, yes. Gaius Marius Argentum, prefect of Danum. It became clear, I think, at the end of last session that they were studying for its time, quite an advanced map showing the region, and clearly they were interested in gaining your support. Part of this is a quid pro quo. They will help you, but you will be invited to feast with the prefect that night, where you can discuss the details of this.
Yes, beer.
Beer is included. Ale is included.
And hopefully get a beer. That is, yes, well, I will attempt not to look too relieved at the mention of ale and try to make my most diplomatic face and wonder if I can somehow foist this off to Tuca, but probably not.
Okay. I think what becomes clear is that though they are recruiting from the region to help them in this, in resolving what they are describing as a war in heaven, the first step in that, as far as Morwenna and the prefect are concerned, is to confront Beda, King Beda of Lindsey, who, if our viewers have watched, any of the other 20-odd sessions of Eotenweard that have been run in the last 18 months, will know that this is the setting's big bad. King Beda is expansionist. He's nasty. I don't think we've ever seen him on screen, but he's not a nice bloke. His reputation is not good. And Morwenna and one of the other people who apparently killed the wrong person in the forest have recently done away with his significant henchman, Ulrich the Fish of Torksey. And so this seems to be the ideal time for Danum to raise the countryside and confront King Beda. Now, the politics are quite complicated, in as much as King Beda owes loyalty to King Edwin of Northumbria, the largest kingdom in the north of Britain, the largest Saxon kingdom in the north of Britain. It is Edwin of Northumbria who has annexed Eamon's wife's kingdom. So certainly on the surface, there seems to be some mutual benefit in this. Weakening Beda would strike a blow against Northumbria. And that is the point the prefect is making to Eamon. It's really important to us, Eamon, to be able to tell people that you have joined this cause, this holy cause, beginning with the demise of Beda.
I am absolutely in agreement with the death of King Beda. I mean, I don't know what if you've talked to Sinam, because they might be amenable. They don't like Beda, and I guess I've worked for their lord for a while.
Now that's very interesting intelligence, Eamon. Sinam is on the far side of Lindsay. We assumed that the Lord of Sinam would follow Beda. Are you saying that he could come over to us?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, his son is he's not a friend of mine, but neither is he a friend of King Beda's.
Yes, we have heard rumors of a blood feud between them, but we thought that Sinam would have been crushed under the heel of Lindsay by now.
Sinam has to be careful. I don't know, I haven't heard from them in a while, but if they're still there, and if they saw a chance, maybe they can be convinced. What I'm not saying here is that Cara Delvia holds the reins in Sinam, and she owes me a debt, but yeah.
This is good news. And he calls a soldier over, one of his guard, and he says, tomorrow you will ride to Sinam, and I will have a letter ready for you to take. It is clear that his expectation, Eamon, is that if he lends you the bronze that he has, then his expectation is that when he calls, you will come and fight for him.
Well, if we're fighting King Beda, for sure, I will.
Just as long as you are clear about that.
Yeah, well, I've fought for Danum before.
You did, before my time, before I came to become prefect. Let's go to the other end of the table, where Tuca and Modthryth are sitting either side of Morwenna. What's the nature of the conversation at that end of the table?
Well, I think okay. Tuca I think makes some small talk, but she tries to broach with Morwenna tales of the forest. She is obviously very curious about what transpired in the woods, and I think would after a bit of small talk would ask Morwenna, I heard that there was a mission in the woods, and we are ourselves about to journey there to perhaps take care of some unfinished business. But what can you tell us about what we are up against?
All she can tell you is what they discovered. the portents told them not to enter the forest, but they'd committed to undertaking this task. And because they'd been told that there was an unkillable witch. But almost as soon as they entered the forest, they became aware that there were spirits of some kind around them. It was her, a Saxon warrior, a priest, and how could she describe him? A scruffy Celt who was odd. There was something peculiar about him. But the Saxons swore that they should go one way. The priests swore they should go the other way. And so they made what she now sees as her fatal mistake. They divided. She went with the Saxon, and the Celt and the priest went another way. And she and the Celt were confronted by wolves who she is convinced were possessed by the Fae, acting under Fae influence. And all she can tell you is what the others told her, that they were confronted by some monster that stepped out of a swamp or a river. And when they fought their way past that, they found this old woman. And the priest killed her. And Morwenna looks you in the eye and she says, I follow the old gods. I believe the old gods can be a force for good. But I've always taken the view that the old gods would stop the innocent being harmed. And that means that I need to be certain something or someone is truly evil before I believe it should be killed. The priest acted without knowing, and now you tell me that I was right. But equally, I came to understand during that time that the old gods, that some of the old gods, what I have taken to calling the dark old gods are interfering in the mortal world in ways to cause harm wherever they can. And so that is the war in heaven that I am encouraging people to fight, because I believe it's not just about the dark old gods and the old pagan gods that I worship. I think it's about the dark old gods and everyone. Modthryth.
The scruffy Celt that was with you, what became of him? Did he make it back?
We all came back with these tales, though I stayed in the forest, at the edge of the forest for a while, praying for guidance. But since then, I've come to see that sometimes the old gods that I have believed in, they are not who they seem. Sometimes there is a darkness about them. Bridget, who is my patron, I believe implicitly. Sometimes I get angry at her because she doesn't do what I expect sometimes, and there's a glint in her eye. But there are dark things stalking the land now. And I believe that Beda of Lindsay is an agent of theirs. Does that seem a fair answer?
Yeah, and I think that Tuca would say, well, I'm not one who has much traffic with these old gods that you talk about, but I think one thing we can agree on is that King Beda is a cancer in this land. And certainly I have no love for him.
Modthryth, what do you make of this conversation?
I think that Modthryth I think that she when she's talking about this darkness, Modthryth is kind of looking at her own hands, and she's getting that feeling again, that kind of inky, like metallic feeling of her hands, and I think that she's probably going to look at her and say, "There's a darkness in us all," and she kind of puts her hands on her face and says, "Did you feel the darkness? Do you have my hands too?"
I think that's face danger with soul.
Okay. So that was an 8.
On a 7 to 9, you achieved. So I should have set the stakes, shouldn't I? What are you hoping the answer is?
I kind of want her to have the same experiences that I'm having. I want someone to understand, and maybe give me a little bit of like insight.
Okay. Then. Okay. When you touch her face, her eyes go unfocused and she steps away. And she looks you in the eye and she says, "You, girl, walk a line between the light and the dark. You are touched by the dark. Beware lest it consume you." And there's real concern and fear for your soul or whatever there is in you. And she looks at you, Tuca, and says, "Take care with this one." Blacwyn, I think probably because where do you want to be sitting?
I can be at this feast, but I think I kind of imagine Blackwyn is perhaps sitting nearby throughout this, at one end of the table, but just silently, just eating, mechanically and staring about him, and just dead-eyed stare at that idea that, the gods, the gods don't let the innocent die, and small. that.
I think at your end of the table, I think that there sat near you is the head of the prefect's warband, Martulio. Martulio is appraising you. He's a grizzled warrior, probably older than you, but fit. And he looks you in the eye and says, "So why are you tied up with this? You don't look like a man who... You look like a man who belongs in a shield wall."
Yeah, I spent my time in a shield wall before. Left that behind. Eamon has my back, so I'll have his. And when we're done, he's going to help me find someone.
The prefect is generous to those who serve him.
Done my days of serving other men. Can kill, don't need somebody else's orders to kill a man. Do it all on my own.
I've heard tales of that silver hand of yours.
Aye.
Now, I've never probed you on this, Blackwyn, but we know that it's articulate.
Mm.
But do you show off that articulation, or do you try to create the impression to those who you bump into that it's actually just it's a false hand, it's kind of one position?
I think he just like it's his hand. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't make any effort, no bones, no nothing. You've got a problem with it,
And so Martulio's looking at this as you're kind of tearing some haunch of meat apart. And he says, "How do you do that? How do you get the silver to stay on?" Is it a glove?
It's my hand. I don't do anything with it other than eat and cut and fight and other things.
And he goes back to eating, talking to somebody next to him, obviously discussing you.
Yeah.
I
I would like to ask him. Does he really? Do you really think that Bida is anything more than just another greedy man?
You didn't see what I saw.
I've met Bida.
No, not about. And he looks up the table, kind of just glances up at Morwenna, her. About 3-4 months ago, the prefect started behaving strangely. I can't prove it, and I'm not going to ask him the question. But when the church burnt down, I saw him coming back into the hall just before the alarm was sounded. And he began to grip the people. People need to be gripped, but there was something about his cruelty that I had not seen in him when we came here, or before we came here, before that time. And then one night, I went outside for a piss, and out of the darkness, Morwenna and another woman came at me. And I think they could have killed me because I had, I was squatting on the ground, for Christ's sake. And then the prefect came out, and that woman called something from, I don't know, from the spirit world. And the other one brandished a cross, and it repelled the prefect. And then I saw it coming out of his mouth and his eyes and his ears, this dark, inky, oily shadow. And then it was like he couldn't remember the things he'd done in the last 2 or 3 weeks when all of these bad things began to happen. And it doesn't end there.
I've seen strange things, friend, and I've killed them all. And he looks down at his hand and clenches it into a fist, and he unclenches it and he says, but people were gripping too tightly way before your prefect was possessed.
But there's something about her. She knows things. If she says Bida's a bad man,
yes,
then she means he's more than just a bad man, my friend.
I'm sure Bida's got his own pet witch saying the same thing to his people about the evil prefect, and it's no skin off my nose. But I'll leave you to your war if you don't mind.
Well, when the time comes.
Aye.
Does anybody else want to do anything else with this feast, or are we about done with it? Okay. So let's cut to the following. Let's have a montage. Oh no, there is something I need to press Blacwyn on. Because I am conscious that as part of your advancement, you've taken a power for the Silver Hand.
Yes.
So I want some indication of how that comes about. Because this isn't like just, remembering how to kill things better. You are now imbuing that hand with magical power. So I'm curious to know how that comes about.
I'm wondering if Blackwyn just hasn't punched anyone with it since getting his hand. He's used his axe, but normally people don't go, you know what I mean? And so like he hasn't actually tried to use it as a weapon, and perhaps you know, some drunken member of the war band will challenge Blackwyn to you know, drunkenly say like a coward who won't come to fight what's right for the good, you know, won't follow us into battle, the battle for heaven kind of thing. And Blackwyn will you know, just like one punch and like send him like a crack of like light comes out of his hand as he hits him, and he just like,
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just build out from that then?
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, there is there is a formal fight. So they make the square or whatever. You can tell me watching the Last Kingdom recently. So they clear some space in the hall, so just, you know, honor can be satisfied. And you strip down, and this is, you know, fisticuffs, wrestling, no rules but no blood, or first blood. And as he swings at you, he misses. He's set up, and that we see the silver fist comes back, and as it's coming forward, sweat's flying off Blackwyn's head, and just the sweat begins to slow and stop. Blackwyn, you're aware of a presence in the room, and a whisper in your ear that says, I am Cernunnos. You were gifted that hand by my servant. Now I empower it for you, so you may fight the good fight, for the dark is coming. You were not given that hand for nothing, mortal. And then wallop.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Big flash of blue light. Kind of, yeah.
And that is magical attack, 1 harm, hand, magic, ignore armor. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now I will cut to the following morning. Or do you share that with anybody? I'm just curious, Blackwyn, whether that's a story that you want told.
I think that I might share that with Modthryth, of all people. Just because she probably won't stop talking at me.
What do you say? What do you say to Blackwyn when he tells you? Because I think probably what we'll then see is this chap just laid out, people are helping out, and Blackwyn just looking at the hand. Modthryth, when he confides in you, what do you say?
I always knew that there was something. And I think that she goes to poke the hand, but then like kind of like winces away.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he jerks it away before you can touch it. Like,
so just so I'm clear, does Modthryth get to touch it?
I don't think she wanted to, did she? That was it. She was scared of it for the first time after poking it incessantly every other appearance. Like,
yeah. See what you've done. Okay. Then let's cut to the following day, where I think we'll have a montage really of just. Go ahead.
I don't know, but maybe can I have a little small scene with Tuca just after
Absolutely. I'm
party,
always
I
keen
guess.
on scenes between Tuca and Iamon. Go for it.
Yeah. I just because I don't know. I imagine that Tuca is more of a party person than Iamon is, so he will leave before her, and then he will stand outside, because outside nobody's talking to him, hopefully. And when she is leaving, then she will notice that he's still standing around and looking kind of, not really lost. He's used to being by himself. He's probably looking for whatever. Really, he's just standing there trying to decompress.
Yeah, well, and I think
I don't know if you want
Tuca,
to do anything with that.
yeah, Tuca would step over and say, well, Eamon, you seem to be really stepping into your role as somebody who is a man of importance. I saw you in the hall. I was at the other side of the table, but you seem to be comporting yourself quite well. It seems like you're getting more comfortable being in the spotlight.
I was. Oh man. I guess I hate it though. It's really all this talking. It's not. It's not what I'm good at. Not good at talking. Good at other things. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but Eamon,
I wish I could have someone. I probably forgot everything that I should have asked for.
Forgot everything you should have asked for. You mean from the people in the hall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm, yeah.
Tuca looks at Eamon and says, "Well, all I can offer is what I saw and what I observed, and you may have your self-doubts, but when I looked at you across the table, you were clearly somebody who the others around you from Danum clearly are looking to you as somebody who they respect."
I've always seen that in me. I don't know why. Still don't.
Well,
wish you had been with me up there.
Well, I don't know. I had my own conversation going with Morwenna, and she certainly said some things to put the chill in me. She was speaking of dark things in the woods.
That's where we're going.
Yes, that is
still want to come.
Oh, absolutely. I think. Well, I find the idea of going into the deep woods with companions like you something that that really does warm my heart.
I wish we weren't going into the dark woods to kill fairies or stuff like that, you know? Remember that wood behind your father's house where he used to go? Pick berries?
And Tuca, a big smile crosses her face when you mentioned those woods, and she says, "Well, yeah, my sense is that we'll go into the woods, we'll take care of the business, but then we'll still have the woods around us, and those are fond memories that you have brought back. I look forward to perhaps seeing some of those spirited moments again in the future."
Yeah. And you can see that he clearly wants to do something, but he doesn't. He's not. It's not the kind of guy who pushes in that regard.
Tuca?
I think what I see Tuca doing at this point is I think she reaches out to Iamon and gives him a hug. I think she also, before going to sleep tonight, is going to go back to the women of the village to see if they have some berries. And so the next morning when she meets Iamon in the morning and they set off into the woods, she'll have a nice little pail of berries to share with him.
How delightful. Thank you. Is that scene?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It is through the hour. I very swiftly want to just sort out the mechanics of this a bit. We'll have a montage of the locals of Danum rummaging through anything they can find which is bronze, and then of their metalsmiths just hammering this bronze into, simple blades, because I doubt that they've got a stock of bronze axes just hanging about. Let's see. So Tuca, you already have the bronze tipped arrow. The way this works is that if you wish to take a bronze weapon from Danum, you will owe Danum a debt. Yeah? So Tuca, you have a range of possibilities for your, as a commoner, which gear you can have. Do you want to just put a star next to one which is now bronze, or bracket bronze, just for the sake of argument? And to be clear, Danum is lending you these things.
Yeah.
Okay. Blacwyn, same for you. You've got a range of options on the weapon front. Which one is now bronze?
Go with the axe. I will owe Danum a debt for that as well.
Can we make that the throwing axe? Because with the best will in the world, I think they will struggle to come up with enough to make your big axe, let alone, a great axe.
One harm, hand close. And now I have a magical attack that's one hand, harm, magic, ignore armor.
But it is a throwing axe, so close, it can be thrown.
That's true. You know what, I'll go for it just because it would be, I think, far too metagamey for him to turn down another weapon. If it strikes me as the kind of guy who'd say yes to every weapon that you gave him.
So now you owe Danum a debt. Modthryth, what do you have in mind? You already have some throwing knives, but you have other options you could mark as bronze if you chose to.
I think that the throwing knives make sense. She likes using those.
Okay, so mark those as bronze. And finally, Iamon, which of your weapons do you either trade in or add for one of bronze?
I'm going for some more bronze tipped arrows, because I don't know how many they have, but I think a bow is a good way to deal with fairies. And I mean, we still have the bone spear and Blacwyn's weird hand and stuff like that. So,
no, that's fine. I think that we'll see a Fletcher in the village binding these, because you can have a quiver full of arrows. We don't track arrows in this game, unless you fail miserably and discover, shit, I've used them all up. So yeah, happy to have the bow now fire bronze arrows. Though Tuca still holds the original bronze arrow.
Oh, that's still with me, Alan.
Oh, is it?
That's still with me.
I gave it to Iamon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to somehow keep that separate, or is that just now part of the stock?
I will keep it separate because Tuca gave it to me, basically.
So if you move that between you on the character sheet, that'd be great. So if you took a weapon, you owe Danum a debt.
No, I don't. I will.
Oh, no,
I
you
will.
don't.
I had Danum owed me a debt, and now I will erase that.
So you're going to
That is
cash that
fine.
in. Fine. Okay.
Yes.
Which is probably really pissing the prefect off because you're the person he wants. Because the reputation of Eamon Demonbane being part
Yeah, but
of
now
his...
he does. Now he doesn't owe me a debt anymore.
It's true.
So
it's true. But he wanted a grip on you. So the expectation is that when you're done with this, you will return these weapons to Danum. Morwenna's very clear about that. That I think she almost sees this as an experiment. How effective will you be against the Fae? Will they ever see you again? And I think now it is.
These are arrows, right? You shoot them somewhere. So I will bring back what I can, but I cannot guarantee that they will get every arrow back.
Fair point. Fair point. Right, it is now 3 minutes past the hour. Shall we say we'll take a break and be back in our seats at 10 minutes past the hour? Yeah, I'll see you then.
Alan, can you send me the name of that Welsh or Celtic, whatever it was?
I can.
Send the vision. Yeah, there's no way I could spell that.
It's in the chat.
I'm having a weird kind of lag today because I heard you talking well, and then you muted yourself and you were still talking, which was weird.
I've been surprised, to be honest, that as the lockdown has proceeded across, lots of the world, that we've not had more internet problems than we've had, to be honest. But am I lagging?
Yeah,
or
me too.
Actually,
No, I think it's me today.
Because now you say that, and I look intently at my mouth moving, I think I'm seeing me lag.
I don't see you lag, which might indicate that you are indeed, in fact, like weird. But I've had people talk and had that lag, but it's not as bad as if I watch a movie or a series and that happens, I cannot watch it.
No, I know.
But if
And it doesn't have to be
with
much
real
off.
people, yeah, but it's still like, what are you doing? Why is this so weird? But with real people, it's different for some reason. I don't know.
Well, Lara, you must look at the first 2 minutes of this, because I don't know what the others, but it was weird because I could hear your voice, but then there'd be a gap, and then it would pick up. It didn't drop. There was just a gap in the sentence. But it since I've noticed it. Okay, we're back in the room. So, does anyone want to do anything on the way back to the forest outside Riponum?
Eat some berries, I think.
Berries.
Yeah, but it's still just us, right? Not they didn't send anyone with us.
Oh no,
so,
okay. No. They've done all they can for you. So yeah, I was assuming that in this montage of traveling back across country, the handkerchief is opened up and there are some berries for Iamon to assuage his thirst on the road. And
nice.
And there continue to be significant looks across the campfire. I'm taking all of that for granted now.
Yeah. I will also attempt to have a sort of like friendly relationship with Bark and Bite.
Okay. Modthryth, how does that go? We should explain to the audience that Bark and Bite are two hunting dogs that Modthryth suborned away from another group of monster hunters.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess part of it is how does Iamon approach them? I mean, they haven't had a lot of good experiences with men. I think you can be careful.
I think it's pretty simple, like with bribery. We are on the road for a few days, and he has bow and arrow, and he can just take down some rabbits or stuff like that, or birds, and just share them with the dogs.
Oh, they will love you forever.
And generally just being friendly, like not like, oh doggy, but like, okay dog, now get out of my way, please, sort of.
Yeah, no, so I think if you feed them, that they will be. I think it goes well. I mean, I think that they're going to sniff you, a little unsure, but then be like food.
How does your hawk, your Ceridwen, the hunting beast, that accompanies that we don't see a lot of, but because she's always off, kind of flying just on the horizon. But
I mean, she's hanging around Iamon's shoulder a lot. I just don't describe her every time, but she's hanging there if she's tired or if there's nothing to be done. I think she's kind of suspicious. I mean, they're bigger than she is, and they might eat a falcon, hawk thing, bird. But it's not like she's jealous or anything. I mean, she always gets her share, obviously.
First share.
Sure. Yeah.
Just checking in on Ceridwen's behalf.
Yes, yes. First share always goes to her.
And so after this little montage of traveling across country, we see you now on the threshold of the forest, exactly where you started before. How is it different, Tuca?
I think it's different because there is you can catch a scent of something in the air, and it's something that seems, I don't know, I would describe it as a kind of damp, earthy smell that is there. And it's probably something where like I probably ask others if they even catch it, because it seems kind of subtle, but I feel like, yeah, there's definitely a different scent that we're able to pick up.
So
and
something like rotting leaves, the slight hint of a compost heap of something.
It almost reminds me of a slight bog kind of smell, but that doesn't make sense because we don't, from what we know, we're not near any kind of swamp or mire or bog. I probably look over at Modthryth and say, are your dogs acting any different? I know that they have a particularly astute sense. Are they? Do they seem okay? I seem to catch something in the air.
Yeah, I think that Modthryth kind of turns to Bark and Bite, and it just kind of looks at them. I think that maybe they're acting a little skittish. Like, I think that they're a little on edge. Like, it seems to be jumping at them, almost like that there's something there, and putting their heads around, but there's nothing.
Now you do have the option with these dogs to roll with advantage when scent or one of their other skills is relevant to look about you. I think we decided, didn't we? If you are prepared to owe your god a debt. I just felt obliged. Well, now this might be the right point to remind you, of course, that you can reduce the debt to a god simply by taking a temptation. Yeah.
Interesting.
Of course, they can be reduced.
And would I just say that
they can also be reduced if a god decides to call in the debt. But it's in your gift whether you choose to give into a temptation, spit in the eye of the gods, and make almost a conscious act of mortal will to piss them off.
Okay.
So I just wanted to remind Modthryth of that. While you're thinking about what you want to do with those dogs, let me go to Blacwyn. Blacwyn, last time you described this forest as dark and unnaturally dark in some way. Was that fair?
Yes. Veering on the what you would a normal sort of deep dark woods, but then obviously we're in it gets more and more sinister as you go in, kind of thing.
Are you particularly surprised, Blacwyn, to find that it is now not as dark?
Sabine.
It seemed somehow the canopy seemed thicker, less light penetrated.
Plotting hand.
Yes, yeah. I'm suspicious for sure. Surprise is perhaps the wrong word, but suspicious is definitely the right one.
Okay. Iamon, I think that in these circumstances, You are the husband of the princess. You are ostensibly the person who's doing the family the favor of being here. So what, when people look to you, what do you do or say?
Well, seems more inviting, which is weird. Maybe they did kill the right. Oh, wait, we didn't hurt the old woman, right? We just got away from her.
You just got away.
But we hurt some. But we hurt some of the water fae.
No, you did no harm to them at all, as far as you were aware. When your weapons impacted, it was almost like they just rippled through them.
No. Yeah, maybe they have. Maybe their old lady has a sense of prophecy and has decided maybe to play nice. Who knows?
Blackwyn, if Eamon says that out
I
loud,
doubt it. It's probably a trap.
Yeah, Blackwyn will look at Modthryth and say, if this one wants to go with her, we just let her this time. Yeah, like, it seems easier all around.
Easy for you to say.
I don't know.
You don't have my hand.
Very true. Very true.
What is it with your hands, Modthryth?
I think that she's going to touch your face if you let her and say, don't you feel them?
Yeah. Well, they feel pretty normal, a bit cold.
See what I mean?
You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you touch the face of someone with the attribute of soul set at 0.
What? Huh? Yeah, well.
So.
Okay. So probably it's a trap.
What more can we do, though? I mean, we must walk into this trap. Yeah. Is that? Do we still see the creek, the path, the stream, and the?
If you remember, you walked into the forest last time, then came across this little stream and followed it. So you head in that direction, but you can't find a stream. There is a path, though.
I look about me and consider the dangers that might be lurking in the woods.
Okay, so look about you with sense, Blackwyn. Unless you've got a playbook move that trumps that.
I do not. I get a 7, I believe. Yes, 7.
So you get to ask me one question.
You know, are there any? Is there anything odd or suspicious about the route that we take as we perhaps follow this path in, kind of thing? You know,
other than the fact that this doesn't resemble the path that you took before.
Yeah.
It is surprisingly easygoing.
Okay.
It looks very well trodden.
Good. And there aren't trees that look strangely like people holding bows and arrows aligning the sides of it. Cool. Okay.
That of course would be the second question you could have asked me if you'd been more successful when you looked about you. So this very well traveled trail, it appears, very well traveled, broad enough for 2 or maybe 3 of you to walk abreast on.
Is Benna still coming with us?
Tuca, you tell me.
I think Bennis, got left behind. Right,
Oh,
Bennis
no.
was.
He left the forest with you.
Okay. So yeah, I think that in that case we would try. Yeah, I would make another go of taking Bennis along.
Oh, Bennis doesn't seem concerned. He's happily following along.
Okay.
Which isn't odd at all, given his previous reaction. So you've been walking.
I don't.
Oh, sorry, Emma. What?
I just wanted to say that if Benas isn't worried, and he was worried before, then these Fae are either more subtle or more careful than I would give him credit for. Always see.
I wonder which is correct. Does anyone want to invoke a move that would allow you to ask me a question about that, for instance?
I mean, I could still look about me, right? I could ask
You
another
could.
question if I had success.
To be honest, I'm not sure the fiction has moved sufficiently far for you to just roll the same move. I was looking across at the various soul moves I see before me.
I mean,
or trust your instincts, or true sight even.
The true sight is.
Yeah.
The trouble with true sight, it requires you to scrutinize a person, creature, or animal in the scene. It's a bit too specific for the current circumstances. Eamon, Modthryth, I just want to point out the soul moves because they don't get a lot of play.
I don't think I want to owe my god a debt, though.
Eamon is such an old atheist.
No, but he's more.
No, I'm not dissing Eamon. It's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. Modthryth.
Yeah, I kind of want to do this move. This looks like fun. Yeah.
That would now remember you have the option with soul moves, as it says at the top. When you invoke it, roll plus soul minus the debt owed to your gods.
Oh gosh.
Which is currently 3.
Yeah, it would not end well probably.
And then either make a blood sacrifice by marking wounded, or add 1 to the debt.
Oh, she would definitely be doing a blood sacrifice.
Oh, with her new bronze knife.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm not forcing your hand, Modthryth. I just want to keep pointing these out.
No, yeah, I think that it'd be fun.
Only Modthryth could think this is just fun. So okay, so your soul is 1. You currently owe a debt of 3, so you're rolling -2 on the dice.
That was a very poor roll, I'm afraid. Looks like it was a 5.
Modthryth trots off away from the path. Who follows her? Oh, and Modthryth, mark wounded. Dripping blood as she goes.
Let's follow her. Oh, Alan, we'll ask a question in the chat. Did we recover our wounded levels?
Oh yes, I beg your pardon. Yes, you've spent enough time in Danum to be fully recovered.
Cool. Yeah, I would go like, this again. Let's follow her. Maybe I've seen people cut themselves and suddenly they could do magic. So maybe she's doing that.
And Blackman just stands on the path and watches, and then just shrugs and walks after you, trudges after you. Like,
Tuca, Benas?
Yeah, I think that Tuca has seen, kind of is kind of on the same wavelength as Iamon, and is, lets out a sigh, right? Let's go, Benas, and goes marching after Iamon and Modthryth.
And off she marches straight into a bog. Modthryth, would you roll to face danger, please?
Sure thing. What is that rolling with?
Well, it depends how you are going to avoid. I think probably this is around steal, not to panic, to be honest, because you're not thinking about it much. You just, that's where I need to go.
All right, so that's 7.
Okay, so on 7 to 9, a worse counter, a hard shot, or a price to pay. Okay. I think that you find yourself knee deep in a bog, but you're not currently sinking. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Eamon, I think you're the first person on the scene. You decided to settle after her first. Blacwyn and Tuca are following up behind you. It appeared to just be a solid woodland floor with leaves, but there's a distinct now smell of bog in the vicinity, and there is Modthryth up to her knees, maybe up to her thighs.
I'll stop walking, and I start testing the ground before I walk on, because I mean, yeah, and I'm saying, Modthryth, what are you in a bog? Amazing.
Modthryth?
I hear it's good for your pores.
Tuca.
What's wrong with my pores?
What is a pore? Tuca, there is Modthryth, probably up to her mid-thighs in this bog. She isn't sinking quickly, but she is sinking. What do you do?
Well, I first of all say to my...
That's some information I didn't have, because if I had known she was sinking, I would have thrown a rope.
Oh, she sat knees, thighs. She wasn't sinking. Now she is. Tuca.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tuca would say to Modthryth, says, Modthryth, don't move. That will only make the situation worse. And she would be kind of getting I would look for a rope on Bennis to kind of throw to her, then with the idea that I could, tie it on the some part of the tackle of Bennis to pull her out.
I think it's fair that the rope is on Bennis, because Bennis's great benefit is extra supplies. Right. So if you need something, usually it's on Bennis. So we've got Tuca and Eamon now sorting this rope out. Blacwyn, what do you do?
Tuca's got it handled. He just keeps an eye out for any trouble. In fact, I would like to look about me.
Okay. I think that's fair. Yeah. Roll with sense.
Well, that is a 4.
So mark experience, obviously. No bad thing. Always good to see experience being marked. And then you feel something gripping your ankles. What do you do?
Swing my axe down at my feet. Like to whatever's around my ankles is going to get chopped.
Okay. So I think it's probably face danger with Savage. Just free yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say so. And that is a 7.
You can get free, but you are very conscious that there is stuff moving under the leaves on the ground, snaking around you and towards the others. What do you do?
I think in the motion of sweeping it down and springing away from this thing, and he stands and he can hear the rustling around, and he'll yell just get her out of there. Things in the woods. Eamon, the leaves, the bushes.
I'll leave the rope to Tuca and get out my axe, because leaves, bushes sounds like axe work.
Certainly, Eamon, as you turn around, you will see it's almost like there are serpents moving underneath the leaf litter. Tuca, unless you've got some special plan in mind, I see you throwing a rope at her.
Yeah, I think I throw the rope, and then if I see that it's in place, I tie it off on the tackle of Bennis and get Bennis moving to pull her out.
So I think I can't think of a way around this other than face danger. But I guess I'm torn between common sense and steel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, either one of those makes sense. They're both the same for me. So
fine. So staying calm in under pressure. Let's play it as steel just for the sake of argument. Right. So go ahead and roll.
That was quite a good roll. So I rolled an 11.
And Modthryth is hanging on the rope. You've tied off the rope on Bennis's harness. And Modthryth is being pulled out. She is not yet out. Let's go back to Blacwyn. The ground is moving all around you, Blacwyn. What do you do? You're muted.
I would like to keep a path clear. I want to get us out back to the path. And I want to try and help cover the escape kind of thing, however that might be. So I imagine that might be a holding and protect someone, perhaps if someone gets a blow or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It doesn't at the moment feels like these are doing harm. Mm-hmm. So I think protect is difficult. I think this is probably face danger using the same attribute, really, which is steel. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's slightly more. It's less kind of just hacking the ground, which would be savage.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. And just before I ask you to roll that, Eamon, what are you doing?
They're not attacking, I hear now. Yeah.
Well, I think what I'm saying to you is they appear to be trying to grab your ankles rather than inflict harm upon you.
I don't want my ankles grabbed.
Okay. So the same approach as Blacwyn or not?
Oh, yeah, probably. I don't know, because might not be smart to hurt anything in the fairy wood. I remember stories my grandma told me when she was alive. So I'll maybe just kick them away, not hit them with the axe.
Okay. That again seems to me kind of steel, just, you know, trying to stay ahead of these things, staying away from them.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have Blacwyn roll first.
I got a 7.
Which is, the choice is, you can either clear a path for the others to give them a chance to get back to the path, or you can stay free yourself.
How do virtues work again, Alan?
So if a virtue is relevant, so in your case, justice, if you can make the case that justice is relevant in the situation, you can pay your god a debt, and I will allow you to increase that outcome by 1 step.
Pay my god a debt, that'll put me further in debt with my god, won't it?
It would. And I also need to know where justice plays.
Well, because, everyone deserves to live more than Blacwyn.
Right. Okay.
Just good at killing anything that tries to stop him. But in any case, I don't think. I don't know. It put me at -3. You know what? Sod it. I'll do it anyways. I will do that. I will bump it up so that Blacwyn covers the thing.
And of course, you could instantly, mark a temptation, and it would still be at -2.
That's true. I might do that.
Surely that's a very tempting possibility.
I will do that, perhaps, at some point.
Okay, so you improve that to 10. You both, to try to keep these people safe, you both stay out of the way of these vines or whatever it is that's moving under the ground, under the leaves, and also help them get free. Eamon, what about you? Because I think that probably means that Tuca and Bennis are now on their way back to the path. Modthryth is still struggling to her feet in the middle of this.
But I've still got the follow me move, so
you have.
I would try to. I do, yes. So I try to use that to
Go for it.
tell her, Modthryth, don't jump back into the bog. Come with me if you want to live. And then I'm rolling. Let's see how that goes.
With
Maybe I'll
sense.
jump into the bog instead. Yeah, I know. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a 13. So.
Well, I think 13 is probably enough for you to scoop Modthryth up out of the mud, where she's just clambered out onto the floor, the forest floor, and make your way back to the path. So you're on the path again. Modthryth, perhaps suitably chastened. I think probably not. So, Eamon, are you going to enforce a follow the path then?
I don't think so. I mean, the path is a trap. It's pretty clear the path is a trap. We need to find another way, because coming into walking in the front door, I don't know. I'm not in favor of that, but I don't see another way. So, but maybe somebody else will. I will not enforce to stay on the path.
Okay, so there's the path.
And now we know there's fog and there are weird vines. So yeah, let's see where that goes. Let's stay on the path until we find a better alternative word.
Now you've got a reasonable idea of how expansive this forest is, because you've walked up the valley towards it. You will have seen it coating the sides of the valley, running on into the distance to a hill. And yet you seem to be walking along this path for hours.
I think Tuca would like to do something at this point, given that we don't seem to be getting anywhere on this path, which seems to be so nicely, perfectly laid out for us to lead us somewhere. But I have a sense that this is not really what we should be doing, right? That this path is some type of ensorcelled trap. I was thinking about using the look at this move. When you try to find an important clue, owe your god a debt to agree with the GM what it is and what you think it means. And whether the clue might be the path that perhaps is not a path, but the one that we should be taking.
So do you want to describe the clue? Oh, your god a debt, obviously.
Yes, I will owe my god a debt. I think the clue, we had established before that there was something going on with, didn't we establish that there was something kind of cold?
Last time, there was a kind of crisp bit of ice along the edge of the stream that you used as a path, I guess.
Yeah, I think that maybe it has to do with picking up on, Tuca goes off the path, gets down on all fours, kind of looking, sensing around her, and she picks up on, a trail that seems to be cold. I would imagine cinematically the way that this might work out is that finally when she really kind of gets, centered on this, she breathes out and you can actually see, you can see her breath appear in front of her. And it's and she kind of does this at a couple places to find out that, oh, there is this other way that we can kind of pick up on.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool. And so by just working away, she can almost find a corridor of cold that takes you off the path, but doesn't seem to take you into this kind of swampy, whatever it is out there. And so I think that allows you to make rather swifter progress. So though you had been walking for hours and apparently not getting anywhere, by now you should have at least been near the edge of the forest. Now you are making swifter progress, and it leads you to the stream. You come over the brow because last time we described the fact this isn't kind of flat. There are lots of dips and, you know, bits of high ground and low ground here. And so with Tuca and Bennis in the lead, you find yourself looking down on the stream. Now, it's not entirely recognizable, but it is a stream, and there are just a little kind of crust of ice around the edge of it. Yeah? What do you do from there, Tuca?
I think since Tuca's in the front, when she kind of crests the rise of land to kind of get in eyesight of the stream, I mean, she pauses and waits for the rest to catch up and says, "Well, I think we may have found it again." It's always so difficult with this forest to have your bearings and to figure out if this is the same stream, this is where we were before, but at least it is a stream.
Modthryth, there's ice on it.
Modthryth, how does our audience know that you have succumbed to the temptation of wrath?
Yeah, so I think that Modthryth was a little upset about being dragged from the bog. She felt like she needed to go there, and she was just kind of swept away. So I think that she's actually, whereas she would have been kind of towards the front, she's now like dragging her feet in the back, kind of glowering at everyone in front of her, just like.
Because in the name or in the description of temptation, you are bad-tempered and prone to violence. +1 to fight, -2 to look about you. Okay, so there is that narrow little path running alongside the stream that you remember from last time. What's your advice to the others, Tuca? You got them here.
Well, I think Tuca's advice is I think we should follow the stream up again, but I'm not particularly fond of the idea of actually getting into the stream, and we certainly need to be wary of the water fae.
Eamon, what's your view?
Yeah, I think there was a path when we went to the forest in the first place. I mean, we could try to negotiate. I'm pretty sure the Fae Queen knows we're here. Everything points to that, so we might just try to talk to her respectfully, maybe, and then try to get her to, I don't know, maybe we can make a deal for the necklace. We don't have, well, we should kind of get rid, I mean, we don't have to kill her. And he kind of looks at Blacwyn with this look that says, oh, we totally will kill her, but we can't say that loudly because she might be listening to us.
Yeah, Blackwyn will just glower at you, like whatever's going on.
The trees have ears.
Yeah.
Go on, Blacwyn.
So, yeah, I feel like we just kind of have to barrel into the next, like onwards, effectively, because it feels as though that we can't ever really work out the right way to go. So,
right.
If we just like going in a maze, right? If you always take left turns, eventually you'll find your way out. So let's just make the next left turn, I suppose. And
you know what you can also do in one of the hedge mazes?
Cut your way through.
Yeah, but I guess we need to have a hedge that we could cut through. So let's go on and follow the water. Well, but maybe we can I can still try to start a negotiation, right? I will then turn to the forest while we're walking and say something like, gracious lady of the forest. Don't know if she's a queen. We have come here at the behest of the Mountain Queen to speak to you about the necklace that she covets and that we might be willing to trade for. Please let us into your bower and speak to us.
And you follow the, declaiming this, you follow the path upstream the way that you followed it before. And ahead of you, you can see, I think I described it last time as a slight kind of defile, as though the stream has worn its way through a hill, a low mound, and make your way through there, this steep-sided, maybe 15, 20 feet, it's not, enormously high, into a more open space with a pool, and the water flows out of the rock face ahead of you, and there is the old woman you came across before. Last time I think she was sitting on a tree stump. This time she is not. And she gives you an appraising look, Eamon, because you did the declaiming. And she says, you ran away, mortal. And now you come to trade? What can you have that I would want?
Am I doing this? I'm not doing this.
The audience will see her view sweep across Modthryth.
I mean, the audience will also see Iamon's view sweep across Modthryth and then shake his inner head because no, we're not doing that. And he's...
she locks eyes with you.
Modthryth is going to...
and then the one true God speaks to you. If you go with this creature, you will be damned. I deny you that choice, child of God. God has just called in a debt, Modthryth. You have an option when you can honor the debt or refuse it. If you refuse a debt held by a god, the debt increases by 1. What do you do?
So God's exact words, his exact words are, if you go with this creature, you will be damned.
Yes, I deny you this choice, he goes on. He has a distinctly white-bearded voice. Do you refuse to honor the debt?
No, I don't think so. I think that Modthryth is going to kind of put her hand down and just kind of look at her fingers.
Break eye contact and reduce the debt you owe your god by 1. Eamon, we all know that Modthryth there was temptation at work there. But what do you have that I could possibly want, mortal?
Well, I mean, I have some stories you might not have heard yet, I guess. We all have some stories you might not have heard yet.
There's a war coming to this land, Fairy. They're gathering their armies, and they're marching, and they're going to burn every last bit of the land free of anything that they think is monstrous and wicked. Now,
And you, Saxon, think me and my kin monstrous and wicked?
you are what you are, and they won't stand for it. And that's what they'll say.
So you offer to protect me, Blackwyn
offer-
of the Silver Hand.
I offer that we can help you find a home. Keep your home safe and let them keep theirs. And turn them away from this dark bit of the woods. No one needs to go here. None of these prefects and their armies. Let them deal with Beda, and we'll make sure they do.
Tuca? Do you want to weigh in here? Or keep your counsel?
I think Tuca will weigh in. She, Tuca says, for whatever reason, and I mean no disrespect, but your people, whom I have had dealings with going back many years, I know enough that to realize that your people are sometimes mysterious to us. I will grant you that, but your people are also ones who, whether you wish it or not, make enemies and antagonisms. And my sense is that you treat this lightly, but I think that there are also times when perhaps you should take things a bit more seriously. And I think this is one of those times that there are many different peoples on this land, and I would like nothing more than to have you back in your deep forest alone. But if you continue to kind of push where you are pushing, I think it will end up being misery for you.
You would deny me our ancient rights to this land, mortal? You would have me bound in a wood?
It is not me who would incur upon this land, but there are great forces swirling around you right now that
The Christian God would burn your wood.
Yes, I have seen the Christian. One of the men of God came here before.
Aye. Got the wrong man though, didn't the wrong thing though, didn't he?
And that simply demonstrates I can protect myself.
From a priest.
I am interested though in stories.
Well, we can give you stories, but the end of your story, if you do not leave the people and the village alone, will be lost. Just a tale to frighten the children, but you won't be there to hear it. So
Then I enjoy stories and contests. Come to my hall, and I will judge your worth.
that seems fair.
and there is a slight breeze. And the rocks out of which the spring is feeding the stream just crack slightly and move apart. And she turns towards this entrance into the earth, into the rock, and looks over her shoulder and says, "Then come."
Sure, I will step up and follow her. Yay, let's go into the rock. Seems like a perfectly sane idea.
Tuca, my guess is that you are not far from Eamon at this point. I could be
No,
wrong.
I don't think I am far. Is Banus going to go into the rock with us?
Benna seems to be quite content, peculiarly so.
Okay.
Blacwyn, Modthryth?
Look over at the go. Well, I guess either way you get to go visit Fairyland.
Yeah, the operative word.
I think Modthryth says. Yeah, no, I think Modthryth says like to herself, like, it's not forever. It's not forever. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Does anyone need a break? I'm conscious Lara has to leave us in about 30 minutes. I'm inclined to play through unless somebody really needs a break.
Can we 3 minutes maybe?
Fine. Let's have a quick one, so to speak.
Cool.
Back in our seats at 5 past the hour. I have a suspicion I've used this picture for another place at another time, but I do like it.
Yeah, it's a lovely picture, but I seem to remember it from somewhere.
Yeah, I've got a vague recollection of a different pile of rocks in a different forest.
Well, you know, yeah, that was where Asinius nearly killed himself, and I nearly got killed. I've got a bad feeling about this.
So, she leads you into this rock face, and as Modthryth and Blacwyn enter, you can hear the crunching of rocks as the entrance closes behind you. But up ahead, Eamon, what do you hear that tells you that this is a welcoming hall?
Welcoming hall. I think it's the crackle of fire.
Fine.
Like it was cool and things outside, but there is a crackling hearth fire, and that always seems like, okay, could be worse.
So the sound of a roaring fire and perhaps the smell of wood smoke. Tuca, what do you sense, hear, see, smell that worries you?
I think I see on the periphery of the Great Hall, I think I see what I, it's kind of dim and blurry, but I seem to catch glimpses of those water fae that, and they look very familiar, right? At points, I almost think like it's the same ones that we had encountered before.
Modthryth, what do you sense, see, hear, smell that you think will make it difficult for you to leave?
So I think that the inky feeling that I feel in my hands is actually spreading to other parts of my body. I think I see like the veins in my body, like they're slowly turning black as they inject.
Oh, a chance to use some of our special effects budget, which without a pagan mystic has been sorely underspent in this series. So yes, I think we see some of this kind of creeping darkness moving up under the sleeves of your tunic. Blacwyn, what is the greatest challenge in the room?
The greatest challenge in the room of this hall is it's the illusion, it's the flickering shadows and the strangeness of it all. It's the spaces are weird, like you look down a like a cavern that goes off and it seems like it's a dead end, and then you look back and it's a winding corridor. Fine rugs in another one, like it's just confusing.
And as you pass by the fire pit where the crackling great logs are crackling, the arch above the roof is a network of roots. This is too big to fit under the little bit of high ground that you walked into. And as you turn round, Blacwyn, I think it's fair to say that you're not entirely certain where you came in. But laid out beyond the fire pit is a great feast. And she sits at one end of the table and invites you to sit on either side of the table. The board groans under the weight of roast meat, rich fruit and
I will
vegetables.
give in to the temptation of gluttony.
Say that again, Eamon?
Because gluttony seems to be... I want to give in to the temptation of gluttony here, because, this is a big feast.
Okay, it's become greed, just to simplify things. So, greed, you are preoccupied with possessions, including that could be the food in front of you.
Yes.
+1 to look about you in relation to food, but -2 to face danger, because you're preoccupied. And so Eamon doesn't wait to be invited. He just dives in. Chicken leg, roast breast of duck. Tuca, given the kind of flickering shadows, you can hear the kind of drips of water. And it is as though the light doesn't quite fill, the light from the fire pit doesn't quite fill the hall. And there are things moving about beyond the light of the fire. Blacwyn, it is disconcerting. You have no idea which way is out at this point. And she turns to you, Blacwyn, and says, how will you pay for your dinner, Saxon?
You said something about contests. You've gone very quiet.
I am. What kind of contest, Saxon?
Well, do you do the ring?
You would call out my champion.
Shrugs. Seems more than just a dinner. Worth more than a dinner, though, doesn't it?
Perchance, perchance. Then she turns to Modthryth. Now, Modthryth, she's at the head of the table. There are the two of you on either side of her. Did you choose to sit next to her, or to put one of the others between you and her?
I think that Modthryth probably chose to put people in between her and the woman, just because, like, yeah.
And so as Eamon sat beside you, is tucking into this food, it's solid. When her gaze falls on you, Modthryth, it's like a weight. And she says, and you really interest me. How will you pay for your dinner?
I was invited as a guest. I didn't think I would need to pay.
Oh, and you can enjoy my hospitality for as long as you would wish. But there was talk of an exchange, of a trade.
But don't you see? We have everything to give you, but we also have nothing to give you. We are. This is the best trade that we could possibly figure out. And then she kind of puts up her hand to hers and kind of reaches out.
Does Modthryth want her to reach out and touch her?
Mm-hmm. Modthryth is also trying to seem like less of a threat. Like she's not really making any sense.
Are we engaging with capering fool? Fine.
Yeah.
So would you roll plus soul, Modthryth?
Yes. That was a 4.
On 6-, you draw much more attention than you'd hoped. Modthryth, you are conscious that the shadows behind you are closer than they were. They loom over you. It's odd because the fire is over there and you're casting a shadow, but somehow it's as though your own shadow is creeping up on you. Tuca, she turns to you and says, and you, common woman, what can you possibly offer a queen?
A quick question. While we walk in, while the conversations are going on, Tuca would be looking around to see if she sees a necklace anywhere, something that would match what has been taken from the trolls.
That sounds like look about you. Roll with sense, unless there's something you've got.
No, I think rolling with sense makes sense. So So that becomes a 7.
So on a 7, you get to ask me one question, which I think you just have. Yeah?
Right.
She is sat in a large chair, the back of which is made out of intermeshed antlers. And hanging nonchalantly and apparently unnoticed from one of those antlers is to describe it as a necklace. It has beads, but it almost is like a kind of primitive pagan fetish rather than a piece of jewelry. Good enough?
Yeah. Okay, so in answer to her question, she's asked me what I have brought to exchange with her. Tuca says, well, I don't know what I've brought to exchange with you except my good manners and my respect. When I was approached by Gurman's ambassador, that drove home to me that
You speak of that bitch?
I didn't know that Gurman would be such a sore spot with you, but
and for a moment, it's as though there is a bright incandescent light inside of her. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know that Gurman would be such a strike such a sore spot with you, but
you don't know what she took from me.
I may not know what she took from you. I know what you took from her, and it looks very nice there on your chair.
Oh, I won't make you roll for that. It's too dramatically appropriate for her to flicker towards it, just to confirm that that is indeed what you were thinking about. Eamon, between just stuffing your face, do you do anything else?
Oh, I mean, I'm listening to what's going on here and what they're doing, and yeah, we have this. Well, I guess once I've had a bit of the good thing to eat and some sort of drink, I will then maybe start remembering my manners, because I mean the rest is not eating, and apparently we're not yet at feast, but well, okay. Anyway, I'm sated, and I will turn around and say, come, this is laid out, this is quite the feast. Now, you were talking of stories and contests here. Does that still hold true?
Yes, let us have a contest. Saxon, I will take up your offer to confront my champion.
Fine.
And out of the fire pit steps a burning creature of ever-burning wood.
Well, fists, shield, what?
Whatever you desire, Saxon, says the queen.
And your man there, are we to the death or first blood?
Whoever submits first.
Aye. All right then. Well, cracks. And yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's go for it. I think though that Blacwyn will put down the weapons, and it is going to be a bare knuckle fight.
Mano a mano.
A honorable duel, you know, because he hasn't got an axe or a sword or anything, right? So
no, he's just made of fire.
Yeah, that's fine.
So as
I might keep the shield, perhaps.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
As he steps towards you out of the fire pit, the dimensions of the room shift again, and a space opens between the feast table and the fire pit. I'll assume that someone will interrupt me if they want to do anything else while this is going on. But yes, it strides towards you. It must be 12 or 15 feet high. And just, creaks and crackles. That sound that Tuca found so, what was it, Eamon? I can't quite remember. Somebody found quite attractive, the crackling of the wood, and that's what's coming towards you. And what do you do, Blacwyn?
I am going to, punch it effectively. That's what I'm going to do. But you know what? Blackwyn is pretty pissed off at all of this, and finally he's got something to hit. So he is wrathful.
And wrath will remain marked until such time as you engage with one of the moves.
Yeah.
So you have +1 to fight. Can I assume that you were about to fight this elemental creature?
I am indeed, yes.
Go ahead. Roll with Savage. +1 extra.
Which is good because that gets me onto a... No, that's not good, is it? No, that only gets me onto a 6. I rolled badly.
I'm seeing a 4. Isn't your Savage 2?
Oh yeah, sorry. No, it is a 7. Yes, you are right. Sorry.
So that's a 7. So on a 7, you can either exchange harm, or you can get one of those effects in the list.
I would like to... If I choose one of the things from the list, do I still take harm?
No.
No, cool. I would like to force my foe where I want them.
And where is that?
I think that is essentially off balance, like it's like huge swinging blows and Blackwyn's like ducking out of the way, and then when one does finally come close, he just like spins around and bats it out of the way with the shield, leaving him like,
that actually sounds like gain advantage.
Oh well, yeah, it's just because that can be passed on to another PC, which...
Yeah, but it can be, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay, I see. I
gain
see
advantage, maybe comma, that
yes.
can be passed to it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly.
So you're now rolling with advantage for the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. This can't possibly go wrong.
Oh my God.
+3.
It's the same result. It's a 7 again. So, I will exchange harm.
But you need to roll a third dice, don't you?
I did do. I rolled the Eamon's third one, and it was a 1 as well. So I rolled 3, 1, 1.
So exchange harm. So you're doing the silver-handed fist harm.
Yes.
Which is 1 harm, and of course it does have an effect. What does that look like when your magic fist hits this elemental creature? Again, we don't spend enough of the SFX budget.
Yeah, I think as it connects, there is a flash of a silver light, and it glows very, just for a split second, and just right as it cracks against this beast's face, and it leaves behind maybe like within those cinders, it dies, like the fire dies down into ash.
Okay, and it does 4 points of harm on you.
Cool. Well, I take 2 of those away then, I guess. So I take 2 points of harm.
And you used a shield for that.
Yes.
Which is now a flame.
Mm-hmm.
Round we go again?
Sure. I should have been using my train from youth. So can I do inflict an extra harm on that one? Sorry.
You can.
Yes. Yeah. Another fight. Let's do it then.
Go for it. It can't get any... I mean, this is with you rolling badly.
That's a 9. That's a 10. So... But I think Sabine said something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just while this is going on, I would like to look around to see if there is anything that could be of use here. Maybe against this fire guy thing. Maybe I could find a pitcher of water to go up and, being slightly drunk, hit it with that or something like that, just to help
Well,
Blacwyn.
let's have you roll with sense to look about you.
Yes, I will try that. My internet is terrible. I will roll my physical dice here because I can't use the roll for it. I don't.
That's fine.
There's a 1 that's neat, and there's another 1 that's not very neat. Okay, so I get an XP, which is lovely, but not very useful at this moment.
And I think you talked about being maybe a bit drunk.
Maybe.
I think that I will force you to mark the temptation of pride.
Okay. Can I unmark the temptation of greed then?
Because you just engaged with look about you, indeed, yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I can't yet, but I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blacwyn. Oh, it's Tuca Modthryth. I will just check in. I'm conscious, Lara, that you may need to bow out because we know that you have to go shortly. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to get back to you. So do you want to do something now?
I think that Modthryth is actually trying to play with the shadows, but slowly kind of like inch her way so that she's like behind the old lady. And I think she wants to do a surprise attack on her while she's watching the fight.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I think that is face danger with steel.
And then can I also use my surprise move?
Well, let's see how the face danger with steel goes first, shall we?
Yes. I do not know where my roll for my party went. Let me get back to it. Okay, here we go. And so that was a 5.
Mark XP. And as you begin to slip around behind Eamon, to position yourself in a place where you might be able to get at her, the shadows have you. These iron bands close around you, and you are held. Okay? So in terms of your surprise move, I don't think you have the positioning to do that. Sad but true. Tuca, I think I'm right in saying you must be sat on the other side of the table, either looking at Blacwyn or across the table at Modthryth. Which do you want to be looking at?
I was thinking that a lot of Tuca's attention is probably directed towards the Fae Queen, and trying to see like how exactly she's reacting to this fight, this contest.
Oh, she loves it. She loves it. She's intent on Blacwyn and the Elemental, and I think you're looking at her, so you don't see Modthryth at this point. Eamon, you were sat next to Modthryth, so you may well notice her. I don't know. You tell me.
No, I have this brilliant idea, right? I mean, I have to go help Blacwyn, but make it look like an accident. So I will, of course, then get up like, oh, I need this pitcher of water over there, and then try to stumble maybe onto the flame giant and maybe douse it a little and distract it a little by accident because I'm so clumsy because the beer was too strong or something. who knows? That is, well, that's probably that I think that is the pride talking more than my innate
Your acting
capabilities.
skill, yes.
Yes,
So
my
I think
acting
this is.
skill.
I'm very happy to cut to the chase and just roll that as help.
Yes, that is what I was going for. And since I'm on, what do I roll help with?
Okay, so where you roll plus subtle for social or steal for any
Okay.
other kind of intervention. So I think this is steal.
This is steal. This is not
Yeah.
social. Steal is good. And I can roll again. Yes, I've rolled an 8, hopefully, and that would make this a 10 and 11.
Wow.
There you go, Black.
So on a 10 plus, you do help. So Blackwyn has another +1 to play with, and you don't expose yourself to the consequences. So it appears that it is a complete accident when this bucket of water is thrown at this thing. Blackwyn,
So
what do you do?
I think it's, it splashed steam erupts off it, and it goes in for another punch. And am I right in thinking that my temptation of wrath would have been cleared now, having used my thing? Or
I mean, to be honest, I've conceived of it as for the scene, because it seems to me to have some weight beyond a single roll.
Yeah,
so I need to be a bit more specific in the rules about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope that I can finally roll a good roll. Yes, that is a with everything stacked up. That's a 12. That's a 14 or something, even maybe. It's got like 4 plus.
And
13.
so on a 12 plus, you add a whole load of extra options. So you can exchange harm and have an effect from a very long list, or you can have 2 things from the very long list.
I will exchange harm, and I will take my +1 harm from my train from birth, and I get to choose another one. I block my foe's blows. Oh, 2 times normal harm. That could be good. +4.
Inflict grievous harm.
Yeah, it depends on whether you're the sort of one who would do like 4 harm as a knockout harm effect, rather than just a let's do it.
Because there is a kind of harm and healing on 2 plus harm. You are knocked down or disadvantaged. So I'm prepared to apply that either way.
Yeah, I'll go for the inflict grievous harm, which will make it a 4 times altogether. So that'd be 4 harm, which is 3 harm has maybe knock someone out as a consequence. And because I don't think Blackwyn's fighting to the death here, like he's just trying to beat him back, knock him out kind of thing.
Yeah, the thing with Fae is that they kind of either go or they don't go. So I would rather like you to hit him hard enough to just scatter the wood.
Oh, sure. Well, then that's fine. Yeah.
That, and her face looks like thunder. Tuca.
Yeah. So how does the queen react? Is she?
Her face looks like thunder. She's staring daggers at Blackwyn.
I think Tuca looks at the queen and says, "Oh, I had no idea Blackwyn had it in him, but of course, I guess it just goes to show you that you shouldn't underestimate people. Very dangerous thing, underestimating situations."
When a gaze turns on you, the lights in her eyes are penetrating. What do you do, Tuca? Because it looks almost like she's going to come at you.
I think what Tuca, I think she will return the gaze, not aggressively, but trying to maintain her coolness and look back at her and say, I'm sorry if my friend has disappointed you, but what I really would like to know is, what is all of this really about?
Scrutinize.
Well, and I'm thinking about using my soul move.
Your true sight, indeed.
My true sight.
When you scrutinize a person, creature, or animal in the scene, roll plus soul.
Right. And I also have to, my debts to the gods are...
Well, you can always make a blood sacrifice. It's not, often a very sensible and Christian thing to do, but you're allowed.
I think I would make a blood sacrifice.
Because at the minute you're rolling plus soul, minus the 2 debts you already owe. So you're on -2, I think.
Correct. But yeah, I think I would make a blood sacrifice.
Okay. So mark wounded and roll with -2. That can't go wrong.
It's snake eyes.
You guys are just intent on just racking up XP. What it says, 6-, your mind is overwhelmed with their emotions to the point that the GM may tempt you to act on them. I can't but go for wrath. I'm sorry. I can't see anything in her that isn't wrathful at the moment. So you are subject to wrath, Tuca, without the benefits of getting rid of a dose of the debt you owe. Blacwyn is pouring ale over his shield to try and keep it intact. Eamon, having kind of done this pratfall, stumble, throw water at the thing, is on the same side of the table as Blacwyn is. And I guess from where you are now, Eamon, you can see these shadows are wrapped around Modthryth.
I'm going to go and defend her.
Okay. So, how?
Because, I mean, I have this bronze-tipped arrow. I have this bronze-tipped arrow, and I'll just use the arrow to poke at,
stab the shadows,
poke, but cut through the tentacles.
Fine. So you're stabbing at these shadows.
Leave her alone. This was not, and yes, I'll go over there with the arrow, and I'll turn to the old woman and say, "This is not hospitality. You broke it first, and then I stab the shadows."
Blacwyn, the Fae Queen of Riponum owes you a debt because you defeated her champion.
Yes, that's a good debt to have. Blacwyn will come over, or put his hands on the table and say, "I beat your champion. Who's gonna be your champion when they come? We all can walk away from this without any bloodshed or any more, if you are willing to talk and to trade. What do you want?"
Do you know why she even wants it?
Because it's hers. A lot of that going around.
No. It's not hers. It's not anyone's. It's spring. She wants to keep those cold, hard, miserable mountains just a little bit warmer.
And who could blame her?
So you would condemn my people and I to winter?
Never thought. Surely you would share. Spring comes to the rest of the world in time, in the passing. You could pass it on.
You don't understand how the other world works at all, Saxon. It is spring. Whoever holds it holds spring.
And what if we held it in the mortal world?
Then we'd all come and get it.
Yeah, I don't see a way to stop this.
She owes you a debt.
Yes, yes.
I think you just offered her service.
I did offer her service. I was offering to say that I will, if it comes to a fight between the Crusade and the Fae Queen, I will stand as her champion and do exactly this on behalf of of whatever pact we swear here.
Eamon, this is the conversation going on behind you. Do you continue to attack the shadows?
I need to defend Modthryth here, but I mean, I cannot order Blacwyn to do. Oh, I could. Well, he owes me, right?
He does.
But I owe him as well, so it's pretty much. I mean, I will turn around and say, Blacwyn, you know that if you want to fight the Crusade, you have to fight me.
Well,
eventually.
Let's hope the Crusade. We don't let it come to that. That's what we're swearing the pact on, isn't it? To try and we could all be neighborly, is all I'm saying.
That depends on the way she behaves towards the village.
I'm just offering insurance.
If she terrorizes them, the Crusade will come through to her.
So we have to broker peace between her and Ripon as well, don't we? Really, I've kind of forgotten about that.
Yes,
yeah.
We really have to do that. And
Yeah.
Fairy and Queen under the hill, your shadows. You said we were guests here. Is that what your word is worth?
They were simply restraining the girl, for she intended me harm. Will you vouch for her, Eamon?
Yes, I will.
Okay, Eamon. You now owe the Fae Queen of Riponum a debt. And the shadows recede, and Modthryth kind of just slumps onto the bench. Tuca, do you see a way through this? Just in case you're concerned, I'm not sure I do yet. But go for it. You know, I don't want you to get the impression I have a preconceived solution to this. I really don't.
I think because Tuca, while she hears this, is also remembering that I forget the name. Gurmond owes Tuca a debt.
Yeah.
I mean, what Tuca says is that it seems to me that everybody is surrounded by antagonists, forces that would do them harm. And, the Fae and the trolls may have been here since ancient times, but times have changed. And it seems to me it would be in the best interest of the Fae and the troll to work out their differences, because from what I can see, there's a much greater danger afoot than, the Faes and the trolls, right? And if the Faes and the trolls stay at each other's neck, fighting over this object, the only thing that will lead to is eventual tragedy for, I think, both of them.
So you would convince Gurmond that we should keep it then?
So the value of the necklace is that it brings spring.
It is spring.
It is spring. But it cannot be in two places at once.
No.
I guess what I would suggest is then some type of regular exchange that might be able to also bring the trolls and the Fae to at least some type of peace with each other so that they can turn their attention to the bigger dangers.
And you would bring this about.
Gourmand owes me a debt.
Oh, her eyes glint. If you can convince Gourmand to agree to your suggestion, then you would be the one to carry spring back and forth between us.
If I can persuade Gourmand, I would be honored to be the intermediary.
I will take your honor and trust it. You owe the Fae Queen of Riponum a debt until such time as you return with the token. When you return with spring, you will have paid her your debt.
Wait a second, she has spring right now, doesn't she?
She does, but she's going with Tuca's suggestion that spring could be moved between the two, that they could indeed share it. But the onus is on Tuca to deliver that, both to convince Gourmand and then to return spring at an agreed time. Is that the deal you want to take, Tuca?
Yeah, and I think Tuca is willing to take it one step further and say,
"Oh, good,"
and say, "I agree to this, and as a sign of my faith, I will turn over my weapon to you." And she'll take the bronze.
Oh, she won't. No, she won't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Place it there.
So I will place it where she wants me to place it.
Eamon, any reaction to any of this?
I don't like it one bit, but right now, besides shooting her with an arrow, doesn't seem much I can do about it. Because these two seem to think that this Fae Queen is kind of somebody we really need to keep safe. And I get that we shouldn't bully her out of her home. That would not be fair. But neither is what she's doing to the curse she's leveled at Riponum. And that remains to be
that is the elephant
discussed.
In the room, isn't it? That so far.
Yes, and I will say it to her. There is the curse you've leveled on Riponum that needs to go.
I think I'm prepared to let you. I think I'm prepared to let Eamon roll his powers that be move. When you negotiate with local authority figures, request help, or when making excuses for a failure, I think I'm prepared to let that go here.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll roll that. Let's see how that goes. That goes terribly. Got a 4. Of course, it goes terribly.
Notching up experience like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, well.
On 6-, you get no help, but they hold you personally responsible for any failure. I think that they will agree as long as the people of Riponum return to the old ways, the simple
not.
sacrifices of bread and milk at each of the solstices?
Yeah, they will not. That is not a trade. The trade is you leave them alone and they leave you alone, or there's no trade. Or you will die. You can kill us now, but that's where it goes. It's as simple as that.
They hold you personally responsible for the failure of Ripon to live up to her expectations.
Okay. What does that mean?
She's laid on the table what it will take to raise the curse.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't deliver, she will blame you.
Well, she can blame me all she wants. They will not deliver.
Owe them a debt of honor, in the words of the move. So you owe...
No, that's simply not what Eamon would do, and that's simply not... he doesn't believe that this will happen.
How should I interpret the move, then?
I don't know. But the problem here is that she could say, okay, if this doesn't happen, then I will attack you. That is the only option, because that is not... But Iamon will not make a promise that he doesn't believe in. He doesn't believe that it's just for her to ask these people.
So you get no help.
Yeah.
We're boiling it down to that. Okay.
Yeah. There is no...
You could invoke your virtue, though, in that sense.
Oh, right. I could invoke my virtue and step it up, but yeah, you're right. Because that is what I'm after, just for everybody. Yeah, that is what I'm after.
Your god a debt, and we know Eamon hates that, but...
Yeah, but okay. I mean, I got rid of one by falling over the feast, so it's okay.
Okay. On 7 to 9, you get what you want, but any failure will bring trouble.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
If they come here, the trouble can come to me. I will face the trouble face that trouble if it comes.
So what she is saying to you is it's the same demand, that they go back to following the old ways. If they don't, there will be trouble. Yeah.
But that's the same result.
No,
basically.
It's trouble for Riponum, not for you.
But they won't. That's the problem here. You're asking me, you're asking Iamon to tell people something they won't do.
And that becomes their problem.
But that is not what he would go for. You don't understand. That is not the just trade is she leaves them alone, they leave her alone. That is the just thing to happen. Nobody gets bullied, everybody gets their own thing. And that's that. And if she has more demands...
If you'd rolled a 10, that's be the territory we'd be in.
Okay. So
but you're
she
in 7
said,
to 9, so there's a cost to this. There's a risk to it.
Yeah, okay. So it's not... but I will tell her, honestly, that this will not happen the way she thinks it will. And then she will die.
Then she'll carry on making trouble for them.
And then they will come with the crusade, and I will join them.
Time will tell, mortal. Time will tell.
Yes, it will. Well.
Okay?
Okay.
And I think that's where we'll close out, with you leaving the fairy mound with or without everything that you hope to get. Yeah. It's about 5 to the hour. I think we have time for a brief stars and wishes. Again, we lost Lara because I couldn't get started 30 minutes early. Do pass on my apologies to her, Robbie. So let's start with Robbie. Stars and wishes.
I thought it was a great session. A lot of different things. And I mean, one of the things that I like is that, first of all, in the world, there are a lot of different moving pieces in the world, a lot of different things, groups that are at play. And that's all very kind of interesting to me. I don't know. I enjoyed the time in the Fae Queen's court. I thought that was all a lot of fun. Both the action scene of the contest was fun, but also kind of working out this kind of bargain of sorts with the Fae Queen, which still has a lot of untied ends. But we'll at least see where that takes us.
And at least we found out what was at stake here. Spring. Will, I'll come back for wishes in a moment, Robbie. Will, any stars?
I loved fighting the Fae champion. It felt like a Studio Ghibli sort of, thing. And I'm loving all of the subtext between Eamon and Tuca still. And and finding out what to do. Kind of. I feel like we're gonna. Well, I'll talk about that in wishes, I think.
Okay, Sabine, any stars?
Yeah, lots of stars. I mean, I like that Fairy Queen, even though she was very intractable, very unreasonable, and she broke hospitality, which you can say what you want. Modthryth didn't do a thing, and she broke hospitality. And well, okay, never mind. I liked her, and I liked the fight that Blacwyn had, and I liked the tension with Tuca, and I liked the way Modthryth went into a bog. That was lovely. This whole, and you're stepping into a bog. Okay, then, yeah, I like that. That was lovely.
And my star for that one goes back to Robbie for suggesting the smell of a bog. Thank you. Without that, we may not have had a bog. And then wishes. Let me go back the other way. Sabine, start with you on wishes.
I would like to fight something at one point. Because it's always Blacwyn who gets the fights. And I know he gets an XP trigger for that, but I would like to fight something.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I did not expect you to go into the wood and offer to negotiate. So I was angling. I was expecting some kind of repeat of last time, only this time with a chance of you doing some harm. So sorry about that. That's where I thought we'd end up. All that trouble to get a bunch of bronze weapons and then barely use them. But you still have them. So, fingers crossed. Maybe they're good against trolls. Who knows? I need to find you something to fight next time. I'll do my best, Sabine. Will, wishes.
I would like to. I think with the death system for the the trolls and the thing. I love the Tuca is becoming a myth now as well, carrying back and forth the spring between the two kingdoms. But I feel like we are at an impasse with Riponum and the Fae Queen because they want to go back to the old ways, and I don't know. I guess I can't think of another possible route of resolving that. Even with having a debt on the Fae Queen, I can't work out a way of resolving that. If there is a way, that would be my wish to try and come up with one, but I can't think of one.
Well, I mean, you do currently. She owes you a debt.
Yes, but I don't know what. I don't know the fiction, how Blacwyn would be the one calling that in terms of having just for beating up the champion.
Well, a debt is a debt is a debt. It's the wonderful joy of a currency that you can spend it any which way you like.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, fictionally, I guess maybe Blacwyn. I wish that Blacwyn can agree to come back for a rematch. And maybe we don't actually have to see that rematch, but that's what he's doing, and that's wiping the debt out. Effectively, I'm calling in the debt, but fictionally, it's I'm going back to fight, and maybe we'll explore that next time. Cool. Okay, thank you. That's a good idea.
Because I was desperately trying to get you to spend a debt.
Yeah,
You've got to call one in for 4 games now, 4 sessions now. Yeah. And finally, Robbie, wishes.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see where all this is leading. And I think Tuca has a very practical mind about things. And I think it is crossing her mind that she needs to maybe first of all, have some discussion with Iamon as to why Iamon is so intractable in terms of this. And it is crossing Tuca's mind. I wonder if it's possible at Riponum this might need to be behind Iamon's and a lot of other people's back, but what if there was a small little contingent in Riponum that secretly made these sacrifices, put out the milk and all of that stuff, unbeknownst to the powers that be, right? If there was like this secretive little group in Riponum that understood the importance of doing this just for practical matters, right? But thought that, okay, like for the purposes of keeping the peace with the Fae, we have this little tradition that we establish.
Well, I think you've probably set the opening scene for next time then, Robbie. Yeah? So I'm going to put here, suborn innocent mortals to the old ways. I think we'll give Tuca a common sense end of session for that one alone. Okay, so let's just do that. If I start with you, Robbie, put yourself at risk by confronting a better. I think a Fae Queen counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Addressed a challenge with common sense. I think you kind of did. Yeah. I think the idea of convincing her somehow that you could make this exchange work, because Germund owes you a debt and now you owe the Fae Queen a debt, and maybe that will somehow balance out. So yeah, you get 2, which I think gives you an improvement and 1 spare. Blacwyn, you did indeed land the first blow on a dangerous foe and addressed a challenge with violence. So those 2 definitely count. Iamon, you are endlessly putting yourself at risk for payment, because technically, I think that you are working for Riponum at the minute, let alone anybody else.
Yeah, mostly I'm trying to keep all the balls in the air, right, and to do what I think is just, right, not letting people get bullied by each other. Maybe, yeah. Well, I'm trying.
And
but
I know where I think you addressed a challenge with cleverness, but I'm curious which bit you think applies.
I think it was pretty much clever to try to talk to her instead of ramming down her front gate. That was Iamon more thinking than acting.
I think that's probably true.
So maybe next time he'll just act. He'll just act and hit something.
So I think
then
that means
Blacwyn can go and hit something else.
You've earned an improvement, and you might even have 1 or 2 left. So there we are in the session. I will end the broadcast. So say bye-bye to the internet. Oh, yes, I did. You've all done stars. I'll message Lara and ask her for any wishes for next time. So bye-bye, internet.